The courtroom atmosphere is heavier than normal, as if everybody's holding their breath. There are no cameras, but if there were, this would have been the image every network in America replayed for weeks. The Brown family, America's once favorite polygamous family, now sits splintered along polished wooden benches. Kody sits at the defense table, fingers interlocked tight, knuckles white. Robyn hovers nearby, her voice a whisper so soft that only he can hear her. Her gaze glances nervously to Meri, standing opposite in a plain black dress. No makeup, no necklace, just determination. The crowd can sense it. This is not another family disagreement. This is war. The judge, a sharp woman with silver hair and a good reputation for fairness, surveys the papers in front of her. She's read thousands of pages throughout her career, but not like these. Mrs. Brown, the judge starts calmly. You can continue. Meri walks forward. Her heels tap gently on the marble floor. For years, her voice was the softest in the room. But today, everyone hears. Your Honor, she starts. For years, I walked by Kody Brown's side as a wife, a partner, and a believer in his vision of family togetherness. But that vision was founded on deception. And today I can substantiate it. Gasps echo again. Even Janelle and Christine, sitting in the back row, exchange uneasy glances. The clerk approaches with a sealed envelope, white, crisp, untouched. Inside, DNA results that could rewrite the story of the Brown family forever. But before opening it, Meri pauses. This isn't about revenge, she says softly. It's about truth. Because I've spent years living in the shadow of lies, and I'm done pretending. The judge nods. Proceed. Meri's fingers shake slightly as she breaks the seal. Paper crumples, snappy, audibly, ringing out in the courtroom like thunder in a canyon. The moment hangs forever, but Meri doesn't read it. She glances over at Kody. Remember Flagstaff 2018? She asks softly but sharply. You said everything in our family was about trust. That we never have secrets. Kody leans back, crossing his arms. I don't know what you're talking about, Meri. This isn't the time for dramatics. Her eyes narrow. Oh, it's exactly the time. Because when the truth hides too long, it starts to rot. And today, it finally stinks enough for everyone to notice. The judge raises a brow. Mrs. Brown, let's stay focused. Meri nods, collecting herself. Of course, Your Honor. The DNA results you're about to see confirm that one of Kody and Robyn's children isn't biologically his. A collective gasp cuts through the silence. Robyn's hand shoots to her mouth. Kody's jaw drops. The judge blinks twice, momentarily stunned. That's impossible, Robyn whispers, shaking her head. You're lying, Meri's voice doesn't waver. Then let the paper speak for itself. The clerk hands the judge the document. She reads silently, her expression tightening with every line. Then she looks up. Is this verified? Yes, Your Honor, Meri says. Lab certified, witnessed, and legally notarized. The sound of Robyn's sobs fills the courtroom. This is cruel, she cries. You're doing this just to destroy us. Meri's face softens, but only slightly. I didn't destroy this family, Robyn. Lies did. Kody's confidence shatters for the first time. His voice shakes. Why now, Meri? After all we've been through, why now? She inches closer, her eyes welling up. Because I lived for years feeling invisible, Kody. I saw you create a life with another woman while keeping me in the shadows. But when I discovered this, she holds the reproduction of the DNA report in her hand. I knew I wasn't the only one leading a lie. And sometimes the only way to save yourself is to burn down what broke you. The judge bangs his gavel, calling for order as muttering reverberates through the courtroom. Reporters outside can already smell something volatile brewing. Christine, in the back, leans forward toward Janelle. I knew it, she whispers. I knew something was wrong with Robyn's timeline. Janelle nods with a small smile. But DNA, that's a whole different level. The bailiff quiets them, but the tension in the room has changed. What was supposed to be a straightforward hearing now has a sense of beginning a family reckoning. The judge coughs. Mrs. Brown, before going any further, I need background. How did you acquire these findings? Meri stands up. Legally, Your Honor. I was suspicious for years. So when I received an envelope in January from an anonymous informant, I took the proper procedure. I ran the test through an independent lab. Anonymous? The judge inquires. Do you know who it was sent by? Meri hesitates. Not yet. But I have a hunch the truth about that will be revealed soon enough. The judge nods slowly. Proceed. Meri addresses Kody once more. You stated that we were a family founded on faith. But you never spoke of whose faith or whose future. You led us to think your love was mutual, but it was manipulated. Each time someone questioned you, you labeled it rebellion. But this one word is truth, Kody. Science doesn't curve for belief. Kody remains silent, looking down. For the first time, he has no retort. Robyn reaches for his hand, but he doesn't move. His jaw tightens. His pride, his control, both slipping away. The judge exhales. We'll take a short recess. Both parties prepare for formal testimony. As the gavel hits, the echo rings like a gunshot. The audience stirs. Whispers fill the air. Meri walks back to her seat, her eyes never leaving Kody. In that silent exchange, decades of tension speak louder than any words. Outside, there are reporters in droves. Meri, is it true? Is the DNA test authentic? Who's the father? She ignores them, entering into sunlight. For the first time in years, she feels light, not because she won anything yet, but because she stopped hiding, finally. In the courtroom, Robyn holds on to Kody. What do we do? She whispers. Kody doesn't respond. His head is spinning. If the DNA test is valid, all that he has worked for, his reputation, his power, his family dynasty, may fall apart in an instant. As the camera recedes, the courthouse towers against the desert horizon. There is a storm coming, one that will challenge loyalty, love, and the very definition of family. And this is just the start. The following morning, the courthouse seems chillier, like even the walls are aware of what's about to happen. Reporters swarm the steps, their shouts carrying across the plaza. Tension inside is so thick you can cut it with a gavel. Meri steps in alone. No entourage, no press release, no smile. Just quiet determination. Robyn stands with sunglasses, clutching Kody's arm as if grasping the last shred of safety she has remaining. But even Kody is different today. Restless eyes, stiff posture. The charm has worn off. The control is fading. When court is called to session, Judge Harrington speaks to the court. Yesterday, Mrs. Brown introduced DNA evidence that may have profound effects. Today, we will hear testimony to determine credibility and intent. Both sides will have an opportunity to respond. The bailiff calls the first witness. Christine Brown, please come forward, the courtroom whispers. Christine pauses as she approaches, looking over at Kody. He does not meet her gaze. She is sworn in, sits, and slowly breathes out. Mrs. Brown, the judge says softly. You were previously married to Mr. Brown too, weren't you? Yes, Your Honor, Christine answers. Her voice shakes a little. More than 25 years. And during your time in that family unit, did you ever experience behavior that would indicate dishonesty or hiding? Christine pauses. The silence stretches. Then she nods. Yes, the crowd shifts. Reporters lean forward. Even Meri's eyes widen slightly. She didn't know what Christine might say. Please explain, the judge prompts. Christine glances at Kody. There were times when timelines didn't add up. When Robyn was pregnant, Kody told us he'd been traveling for work. But the dates, they never matched. He was gone longer than he said, and Robyn's due date didn't make sense. Robyn gasps. That's ridiculous. You're twisting it! Christine shakes her head. I wish I were. I kept quiet for years to shield the family, but seeing Meri stand up yesterday made me see. It's time. Kody's face turns red. You always wanted to destroy us, Christine. You left because you couldn't tolerate the truth. Christine glares at him straight in the eye. No, Kody, I left because you couldn't tell it. The judge bangs the gavel. Order. Mrs. Brown, proceed. Christine's breath shakes. After I left, I remained close with one of the older kids. She told me something that I could not dismiss. That Robyn once had a secret meeting with someone from her history, a man she would not name. But the timing is the same as the conception period of her youngest child. Gasp breaks out again. Robyn's tears begin to fall. That is not true. That is a heartless rumor. Christine seems conflicted. I don't know that it's true, Your Honor, but I think Meri's evidence should be heard in full. Because none of us ever did get the truth from Kody or Robyn. We were just kept in the dark. The judge nods. Thank you, Mrs. Brown. You may step down. As Christine exits the stand, she goes by Meri and gives her a gentle nod. Meri mouths, "Thank you." Christine simply mouths back, "Finish it." Then it's Janelle's turn. Janelle's the most level-headed of the wives, rational, calm, but today, her words hold power. Your Honor, I don't want to hurt anyone, but I've seen some things that don't add up either, such as, the judge requests. Janelle exhales. Bank statements. I managed a lot of family finances when we were living in Las Vegas. There were withdrawals, off-the-books accounts, and some of those transactions involved payments to a private clinic billed under Robyn's name. Robyn's head jerks up. That's not true. Janelle remains firm. It's not. I've seen them. And when I questioned Kody about it, he told me, "Don't question my family choices." But now that we know the DNA results, I realize what those payments could have been for. Kody bangs his hand on the table. Enough! You're bending everything! The judge's voice interrupts the pandemonium. Mr. Brown, one more outburst and I'll hold you in contempt. Kody leans back, panting, his eyes blazing with anger. The courtroom is silent once more. The judge addresses Meri. Mrs. Brown, you may proceed with your next item of evidence. Meri smiles and takes out a folder. These, she says, are duplicates of text messages between Robyn and an unknown number, discovered by a private investigator whom I retained last year. Robyn bristles. You had me tailed? Meri's tone remains even. I had questions. You had answers. The judge glances over the documents, his eyes narrowing. The number is listed to a man by the name of Daniel L. Ricks, Arizona. Robyn's face goes pale. Do you know this man, Mrs. Brown? The judge questions. Robyn stammers. I knew him a long time ago. Before Kody, he was just a friend. Meri leans in. A friend who sent you money during your pregnancy? A friend whose initials are the one whose name is listed as the biological match for the DNA results? Robyn is overcome with tears. Stop! Please stop! The courtroom is silent. The echo of her sobs fills the room. Even Kody appears stumped, like he's watching everything fall apart and he can't prevent it. He looks at Robyn, his voice shaking. Is it true? Robyn? Say it's not true. She can't bear to look at him. Her hands tremble. Tears run down her face. The judge orders a 10-minute recess. The gavel comes down again, but no one gets up immediately. Reporters run to the doors, fingers pecking out headlines that will blow apart in minutes online. Meri lowers herself slowly, hands clasped in her lap. She's not smiling, not victorious. She's tired. Christine and Janelle approach silently. Christine brushes her shoulder. You okay? Meri nods weakly. I didn't want it to end like this. But he gave me no choice. In the hallway outside the courtroom, Kody confronts Robyn. Cameras record every word. Why didn't you tell me? He asks. After everything I sacrificed for you, you lied to me? Robyn attempts to speak, but words escape her. Her makeup runs down her cheeks. She seems shattered. I was afraid, Kody. I thought I'd lose everything if I told you. He steps back, shaking his head. You just did. Back inside, the judge reconvenes. Mrs. Brown, she says to Meri. The court will allow additional testimony from your investigator in the next session. For now, we'll adjourn until tomorrow. The gavel falls one last time, echoing like a final heartbeat. As others begin to depart, the camera stays on Meri. She gazes up at the judge's bench, then to the vacant witness stand, where so many deceptions just fell apart. Her voice returns as a soft narration. I didn't want to tear apart a family. I wanted to end pretending we still had one. The screen goes dark a bit, the courthouse doors closing in slow motion. Outside, thunder booms over Flagstaff. Reporters pour onto the steps, cameras flashing, questions bouncing. But Meri says nothing. She simply walks right through the commotion, eyes forward, because in her heart she knows this isn't the end. It's just the beginning of something greater, something that will either free her or shatter everything in ruins. Morning sunlight pours in the tall courthouse windows, creating long shadows on the wooden floors. The air is heavy once more, thick, even heavier than before. Individuals huddle together, holding notepads and microphones. Everyone understands that today might be the day everything comes out. Meri moves into the courtroom with silent footsteps. Her eyes are worn but firm. She doesn't look for revenge. She looks for someone who's finally had enough of running from the truth. Robyn sits next to Kody, her color pale. She has been crying since morning. Kody himself isn't speaking to anyone today. His jaw is clenched, eyes straight ahead, as if expecting an impact. Judge Harrington walks in, unruffled. We will now continue the proceedings in the case of Brown versus Brown. Mrs. Brown, you may call your next witness. Meri stands. Your Honor, I'd like to call Mr. David Clark to the stand, licensed private investigator. A tall man in his 50s walks forward, wearing a crisp gray suit. He moves with confidence, the kind of calm that comes from years of uncovering what others try to hide. He takes the oath, sits, and opens a small folder. Mr. Clark, the judge says, tell us how you were introduced to this case. Clark shakes his head. I was retained by Mrs. Brown in February of last year. She had suspicions of discrepancies in financial and personal documents concerning the Brown family. Meri gazes down, interlocking fingers. She recalls that initial consultation, how anxious she'd been, how needful of information. Clark goes on. In my investigation, I had examined phone records, bank transfers, and travel schedules. I also found a series of anonymous letters sent to Mrs. Brown's previous address, letters, hinting at a child in the family not being biologically related to Mr. Brown. A murmur of astonishment runs through the courtroom. Kody's eyes go wide. Letters? What letters? Meri shifts uncomfortably in her seat. The ones that I never wanted to think existed. The judge nods toward Clark. Do you have reproductions of these letters? Yes, Your Honor. He produces a small packet, sealed and numbered. The judge studies them silently before turning them over to the clerk. Clark describes, the letters were postmarked Flagstaff, written in deliberate anonymous script. They stated that Robyn Brown had been in contact with a man named Daniel Ricks, said to be the potential biological father of her youngest child. Robyn becomes tearful. That's not true. You don't know what you're saying. The judge holds up a hand. Mrs. Brown, you will have your opportunity to reply. Clark goes on in a smooth tone. The letters had dates, places, and even the initials DR signed at the bottom. I checked those facts against flight data and nearby clinic records, and they fit. The same clinic Mrs. Janelle Brown referred to earlier. Kody massages his forehead, his cool cracking. You're giving it this big conspiracy sound. She didn't. This must be some sort of accident. Clark stares at him in the eye. Sir, I don't deal in opinions. Only in facts. The judge nods. Go on, Mr. Clark. He opens another file. On surveillance in early March, my team videotaped 2 meetings between Mrs. Robyn Brown and Mr. Ricks at a small cafe outside Sedona. These were corroborated by dated photos and receipts. I have both, Meri takes slow breaths. The crowd gasps. The proof isn't rumor anymore, it's real. It's solid. The judge studies the photos intently. Mrs. Brown, were you privy to these meetings? Robyn is shaking her head, crying. He's not telling the truth. He's manipulating everything. It was nothing. It was closure, that's all. Kody is staring at her in shock. Closure? What kind of closure? Robyn buries her face, crying harder. I thought I could manage it. But it was before all that stuff with us got really serious. I didn't think it counted anymore. Kody's tone lowers, icy. You lied to me. The tension that comes afterward is palpable. Even the court stenographer pauses in typing, looking up. The judge clears her throat. Mr. Clark, you said there was one last piece of evidence? Clark nods. Yes, Your Honor. A letter that arrived 2 weeks ago. It's addressed directly to Mrs. Meri Brown. The sender remains anonymous, but the envelope contained a confession and a signature. Mary's eyes widen. You mean it was signed? Yes, Clark replies. And the signature matched Daniel Rick's. The room explodes into murmurs. The judge bangs her gavel. Order! Order in the court! Clark gives the document to the judge. She reads in silence for almost a minute. When she does look up, her face is inscrutable. Mr. Clark, read that section aloud. Clark pushes his glasses up and starts reading. To Meri Brown, you were never meant to know. I believed keeping it quiet would keep Robyn and the child safe. But now, all these years later, I cannot live with this secret anymore. The DNA does not lie. Forgive her. She only attempted to keep your family intact. A shiver runs through the courtroom. Robyn puts her face in her hands. Kody sits blankly staring, eyes glassy, mouth agape. Meri is breathing harder, but she doesn't whimper. Not anymore. She merely whispers, "It's finally over." The judge releases a deep breath. This court will adjourn to authenticate the document. But from what I've read, this alters the direction of the case in a considerable way. Kody abruptly rises from his seat. Your Honor, I have to say something. Mr. Brown, sit down. The judge cautions. No, he states, shaking. For years, everyone's made me out to be the bad guy. The controlling husband, the manipulator. But I loved my family. I did everything for them, and now, I discover the one person I trusted most lied to me. His voice cracks on that word. Robyn glances up at him, begging. Kody, please, don't do this here. He glares at her. Do what, Robyn? Tell the truth for once? The judge gestures for quiet, but the harm is done. The world has just witnessed Kody Brown's regime of domination collapse in real time. Meri remains quiet, tears shining in her eyes. Not tears of triumph, tears of freedom. She whispers to herself. I just wanted the truth. That's all I ever wanted. The court in recess is for the day. But everyone stands still. It's as though time itself has stopped. When the crowd finally drifts away, Meri stands at the window, observing the storm clouds gathering. Rain begins tapping against the glass, light and relentless. Christine comes to stand beside her in silence. You did it, Christine whispers. You got him to confront it. Meri shakes her head. It's not finished yet. The letter, the DNA, it's only the tip of the iceberg. There's still something lacking. Why now? Why would this man confess after all these years? Christine frowns. You think somebody made him do it? Meri slowly nods. Or intimidated him into it. Outside, reporters converge again, calling out questions. But this time, Meri doesn't respond to a single one. She simply walks down the stairs, shoulders squared, eyes fixed. The rain comes down harder now, cold, unyielding, purifying. Kody stands beneath the awning, alone. Robyn's gone, being led out the side door by her lawyer. He sees Meri walk past, and for an instant, their eyes connect. It's not rage. Not any longer. Just the toll of it all, unspoken. Meri passes by him in silence, because this is no longer about revenge. This is about truth. And sometimes the truth does not shout. It murmurs, until you can no longer deny it. As the screen goes to black, a lone line materializes. Tomorrow. The court hears from an unexpected witness, someone who claims to know why the confession was written. The courtroom hangs thick with silence. Only the soft whir of the ceiling fan and the scratch of a pen disturb the air. The judge adjusts her spectacles, reading through the documents in front of her. Kody sits rigid at the defendant's table, jaw tense, eyes fixed on the shiny wood rather than on the individuals around him. Robyn sits next to him, her hands clasped tightly, knuckles white. Across the room, Meri wears a weary but fierce look, like a woman who's cried all her tears and discovered renewed strength beneath. The clerk stands up. Your Honor, the DNA results have arrived. A collective gasp ripples through the crowd. Even Christine and Janelle, who had been chattering to each other just moments before, pause in mid-breath. Judge Harland nods slowly. Proceed. The clerk takes the sealed envelope to the bench. The ripping paper sounds like thunder. As she opens the results, Kody's fingers begin tapping against the table. Quick, agitated, belied by the composed mask on his face. Robyn looks at him, whispering, Everything's fine, right? You said it was going to be fine. He doesn't respond. He just gazes ahead. The judge reads for what feels like an eternity, then glances up. As the findings state, the subject child has a 99.9% genetic match to Kody Brown. The room erupts in sound. Gasps, shouts, reporters reaching for phones. Robyn's face goes white. That can't be, she exclaims. There has to be a mistake. Meri doesn't budge. Her lips quiver just a little, but she isn't surprised. Rather, she speaks softly, as if to herself. I knew it. I knew he'd attempt to cover this. Kody leaps to his feet. Your Honor, I request a retest. There has to be contamination or... Judge Harland raps the gavel. Mr. Brown, be seated. You will get your turn. Kody leans back, rage burning in his eyes. But behind that rage is something else, terror. The judge goes on, her voice crisp. These findings verify that Mr. Brown is the biological father of the child born to Ms. Robyn Brown before their legal marriage. This directly refutes previous testimony stating otherwise. Robyn breaks into tears. Kody, you swore this would never happen. You said it was taken care of. Her words ring out over the courtroom, cutting through tension like glass. Meri's attorney, Ms. Thompson, rises. Your Honor, this evidence not just shows deception, it shows a pattern. Financial hiding, emotional manipulation, false statements. We plan to present further documentation substantiating these allegations. Kody's attorney is on her feet immediately. Objection. These are unsubstantiated claims. Overruled, Judge Harland intones. The gavel comes down once more. The sound is conclusive. Christine leans in toward Janelle and speaks in a whisper. He's done. He can't talk his way out of this one. Janelle nods, but her face isn't victorious. It's anguished. We trusted him, she whispers. We constructed our lives with him. Kody's jaw clenches. You all think you know me? His voice trembles, but not with vulnerability, with anger. You've been waiting for this. You want me destroyed because you can't handle that I moved on. Meri finally looks at him. Moved on? She whispers. You didn't move on, Kody. You erased us. You erased me. And now you're standing here playing the victim. Robyn wipes away her tears, muttering bitterly. He promised me that it would never happen like this. Meri gazes at her with compassion, not wrath. That's the problem with Kody's promises, Robyn. They sound like they last forever until they don't. The gallery buzzes. Cameras snap. The drama that once played out of sight behind the closed doors of a reality program is now raw, bared, and irreparable. The judge breaks the tension. We will recess for 30 minutes. When we resume, we'll hear closing arguments on the charge of financial misconduct. As the gavel crashes, individuals stand. But Kody doesn't stir. He simply gazes at the DNA document still sitting on the judge's desk, the evidence that unraveled it all. Meri exits the courtroom first. Sunlight strikes her face from the tall courthouse windows. For an instant, she looks upward, taking a deep breath, as though walking out from years of darkness. In her wake, Robyn holds on to her attorney, shaking. They will despise me for this, she says. Her attorney responds softly. They already did, Robyn. They'll just have evidence now. Inside, Kody sits by himself at the defendant's table. His attorney whispers, We can still redeem this. We challenge the chain of custody, the validity of the lab. Kody doesn't listen to him. He's gazing at Meri in the glass window as she speaks with a reporter in the hallway. For years, he directed her. Now, she resembles the dominant one. He grumbles to himself. She thinks it's over. But not yet. At the conclusion of recess, the courtroom is filled once more. Tension more dense than ever. The judge nods for closing arguments. Meri's attorney rises first. Your Honor, My client spent years in emotional and financial manipulation. She was isolated, silenced, and left to take the fall for decisions that weren't hers. But today, the truth speaks for itself, she glances at Kody, and that reality is sitting right there, in the form of a man who thought he could rewrite reality like an episode of TV, but this courtroom isn't edited, and there are no retakes. Robyn drops her head. Kody's eyes dig into hers. Then there stands his attorney. Your Honor, this isn't about lying. It's about a family splintered by celebrity and public censure. My client made errors, but so have his accusers. We ask this court to distinguish private distress from legal penalty. The judge slowly inclines her head. But her face does not relax, Christine observes. Speaking softly to Janelle, you can see it, can't you? He's losing it. He's not the same guy on the show. Janelle exhales. No, this is what remains when the cameras no longer roll. The courtroom falls silent once more as the judge inhales deeply. This court recognizes the testimony before us, including the corroborated DNA findings and the bank records in question. I will render my decision tomorrow morning. Kody stands, his body shaking slightly. Tomorrow? He asks, sounding almost incredulous. Yes, Judge Harland responds. Tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Until then, court is adjourned. The gavel comes down. The room explodes once more. Reporters spilling out, cameras popping. Meri moves toward the door, Christine and Janelle following right behind her. Kody and Robyn stand frozen, surrounded by quiet and murmurs. Robyn's voice breaks. What are we going to do, Kody? He looks at her blankly. We wait, he says. And if the world thinks I'm done, they're wrong. But deep down, even he doesn't believe it. Tomorrow's verdict changes everything, not just for Kody, but for every sister wife who ever trusted him. The sun streams through the windows of the courthouse, cutting the air with gossamer threads of gold. Across the street, a phalanx of reporters descends upon the steps, microphones raised, flashes popping. Today, one anchor announces into her mic, the world at last finds out the verdict in the sister wives trial that has engaged millions. Inside, the air hums with tension. Every seat is filled. Family, fans, journalists, even former crew members from the old TLC set. They've all come for this moment. Meri sits in the front row, hands folded, her face calm, but her eyes stormy. Beside her, Christine leans forward, whispering, You ready for this? Meri doesn't look away from the bench. I've been ready for years, she says quietly. Kody arrives a few minutes later, dressed in a dark suit that resembles armor rather than clothes. Robyn is behind him, white-faced and taut-mouthed. As he passes by the crowd, the murmurs begin, the whisper of hundreds of unvoiced condemnations. He disregards them all. His eyes do flick over to Meri for a fleeting moment. She doesn't look back at him. Judge Harland arrives. The murmurs cease. All rise, the bailiff says. They all rise. The judge presides, tugs on her robe, and clears her throat. We are in court today to render the verdict in Meri Brown versus Kody Brown and Robyn Brown on financial misconduct, defamation, and emotional damages. Each heartbeat in the room finds synchrony in the instant. Kody's attorney stands up first. Your Honor, before you continue, may we remind the court that— No, the judge interrupts, her voice firm. You've had your chance to speak. Now it's time to listen. Kody sits slowly, his jaw tightening. The judge looks down at her papers, then back at the room. After reviewing all evidence, testimony, and verified documentation, this court finds that Mr. Kody Brown willfully misrepresented joint marital assets, resulting in substantial personal and financial harm to Mrs. Meri Brown. Gasps spread through the courtroom. Robyn covers her mouth with her hand. The judge goes on, steady and unyielding. Moreover, this court finds a systematic pattern of emotional manipulation and coercive conduct consistently documented by repeated witnesses and supportive evidence. Meri breathes shakily. It's not triumph she's experiencing. It's relief. The judge addresses Kody. Mr. Brown, this court directs you to pay restitution in full of the embezzled money, $1.2 million, as well as emotional damages to be decided by the court. In addition, your public declarations throughout this litigation are held to have resulted in reputational injury to the plaintiff. The courtroom explodes. Cameras flash like thunder. Kody slams his fist on the table. You can't do this to me! You think I'm the bad guy because it sells headlines. You don't know what it's like. Judge Harlan slams the gavel. Mr. Brown, you will not interrupt these proceedings. But Kody doesn't let up. His voice becomes louder, more pleading. They all turned against me. Robyn, Christine, Janelle, even Meri. You wanted a perfect husband, but you never wanted the truth. Meri gets up slowly, her voice slicing through his anger like glass. No, Kody, we wanted respect. We wanted honesty. You gave us excuses and called it love. The room falls silent once more. Robyn's screams ring out in the back row. Judge Harlan exhales, tired but calm. The court further adjudicates that Robyn Brown actively helped to hide marital assets. But because of the extent of her cooperation during the last testimony, her sentences will be cut to probation and required restitution support. Robyn covers her face with her hands. The judge glances in the direction of Meri. Mrs. Brown, I trust that this brings you some degree of justice. Meri nods quietly, saying, Thank you, Your Honor. As the judge rises to adjourn, Meri moves forward unexpectedly. Your Honor, before you seal this, may I speak? The judge pauses and inclines his head. Proceed. Meri faces the courtroom, the cameras, the witnesses, the family she used to call her own. I didn't come here today to hurt anyone, she starts gently. I came because I spent years thinking that silence would save me. I thought that if I kept peace, I'd keep my family. But silence didn't save me, it buried me. Her voice breaks, but she continues. To each and every woman watching this, who feels that staying silent is keeping you loyal, it doesn't. It makes you invisible. And I'm done with being invisible. The room is completely silent, you can hear a heartbeat. Even the journalists cease typing. Christine wipes away a tear. Janelle nods resolutely, her eyes glassy. Kody drops his head. For the first time, he is small. Not angry, not proud, just shattered. As Meri moves away, the judge gives a slight, approving nod. Court is adjourned. The gavel falls one final time. The courtroom erupts into bedlam, reporters yelling, cameras popping, fans screaming and sobbing. But Meri doesn't hang around. She turns, pushes through the crowd, and walks out into the sun. Outside, the world is noisy, reporters shouting her name, asking for comments, pleading for a sound bite. But she doesn't pause. She simply walks down the courthouse steps, her stride even, her chin held high. Trailing behind her, Christine catches up. You did it, she gasps. You actually did it, Meri smiles weakly. No, Christine. We did. Robyn leaves a little while later, holding onto her attorney's arm. Paparazzi descend on her also, peppering her with questions. Robyn, did you know about the secret accounts? Was Kody coercive to you? Do you wish you'd stayed faithful? She doesn't respond. But as she gets into her vehicle, she glances at Meri. And for an instant, something akin to guilt creeps across her expression. Kody leaves last, his face impassive. He brushes past the cameras, not a word. But silence is more powerful than language. He jumps into his truck, slams the door shut, and drives off, past the courthouse, past the media, past the ruins of the empire he had built on love, faith, and domination. Later at night, Meri sits in her kitchen alone, the trial documents lying in front of her. The house is still, too still. Her phone vibrates. An SMS. No name, just a number she had not seen in months. It says, You think you've won, but the truth isn't done. Meet me tomorrow. I have something you need to see. Meri fixes her eyes on the screen, her heart racing. She reads it over again and again. Christine yells from across the house, Meri, you coming to bed? Meri freezes, then locks her phone. Yeah, she yells back, trying for calm. I'm right behind you. But her gaze remains on the screen, on those words that throw open a door she had shut so long ago. Thunder rumbles outside. The storm has not passed. It is merely changing form. As the camera dissolves, The narrator's voice would end the episode in a low, haunting cadence. Justice was done. But the truth? The truth has a way of returning, especially when you don't see it coming.